Good morning, Thailand. My name is Alex, and I have some news updates from around the land of smiles for you today, this Monday, July 8th. And we're going to start with the big news, the hot topic that everybody seems to be talking about, and that's the cannabis policy here in Thailand. Now, the government is set to reclassify cannabis as a narcotic starting in 2025. The Ministry of Public Health in Thailand plans to reclassify cannabis and hemp as illegal narcotics from January 1st, 2025, focusing on flowers and extracts with THC content above 0.2%. This follows a Narcotics Control Board meeting supporting medical and research uses but opposing recreational use. Activists led by Prasichai Nunual and ML Rungkong Kitiakon plan to protest on July 8th, opposing the reclassification, which they claim benefits specific capitalists rather than the public. They will occupy a stretch of Rajadamnern that was yesterday, July 7th, and today they will march to the government house on July 8th. You know my stance on this. The line between recreational and medical is a fine one, I think. And people, I lived in California when it was medical use only. The system was a joke, okay? You could very easily go to any doctor, say, oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, I got a little anxiety. Oh, I can't sleep at night. Didn't matter what ailed you. They gave you the medical card and you can go consume cannabis. So I imagine that's going to be something similar to what they plan to roll out. But the point is, this has been just a cluster of bleep F word from the beginning of this policy realignment. Now, it was always intended to be for medical use only, not for recreational use. However, as I said, everybody benefits from cannabis. Everybody that I know that uses it has some sort of mental health benefit, physical benefit from it. So I have a feeling that this rescheduling is sort of like we said, there's other powers at play. I've heard rumblings of political pressure from neighboring countries, rumblings of political pressure from, say, the alcohol and tobacco industries. And the point is, it's a weed, right? So it's very easy to grow. People can grow their own plants. Massive amounts of farms and businesses have reoriented their structures in order to engage in this market, and there's billions of dollars on the line, and they're propping up real estate markets. There's all sorts of things at play. So as this policy changes, we'll try to keep you up to date, but for now, it looks like a reclassification is on the way. So batten down the hatches, everybody. All right. Kazna says, typical. As soon as I get there, it will be illegal. That's what I'm saying, man. I don't think, I don't know. They don't know what they're doing. They didn't know what they were doing from the get. I don't think they know what they're doing with this policy reshift. The protests are going to start coming out in full force soon because this is the most concrete statement that they've made, talking about changing things from the beginning of next year. So we shall see. I know plenty of people in the industry are kind of shaking in their boots a little bit right now, but also there's a lot of coalescence within the community. Everybody's on the same team in this battle, so we'll see how they can fight back. All right, Kazna said, always bound to fail, too much too soon. Sure. Hard to say, though. I admired Thailand's steps because they sort of glossed over that BS phase. I mean, everywhere that went medical eventually went recreational anyways, right? So it was always kind of a joke wherever it was medical first and then turning into recreational. So I held Thailand in high regard for skipping over that phase and just going straight into sort of a mass market. But it does seem to have some backlash on the other side of things. So we'll see what happens. Mohammed says, line the pockets of the politicians and it'll stay legal. Yeah, I know, right? That was another problem. They never figured out how to tax it properly. The way that alcohol and tobacco have a specific tax on them, cannabis never had that. So it just has a value-added tax on it. Another way that they kind of messed up the rolling out of this policy, in my opinion. So, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Now we're going to move on to our next story. So we're heading over to Chinatown. Now, a big old fire in Chinatown has injured 30 and damaged a hotel. That's right. So a fire in Bangkok's Chinatown, Yaowarat, ignited around 9 p.m. a couple days ago, injuring approximately 30 people and damaging the New Empire Hotel. The fire spread through the 3,200 square meter area, affecting around 30 wooden residences. Firefighters, accompanied with 40 fire engines, controlled the blaze by 11:16 p.m., almost 2 hours later, and evacuated hotel guests. Most injuries were due to smoke inhalation, primarily affecting senior citizens. No fatalities were reported. A section of Yawarat Road was closed for safety, and around 280 people were displaced, seeking refuge at Wat Traimit. Pretty shocking footage, this stuff. Seeing that this is a big problem, obviously. Unclear how the fire was started. I'm imagining probably some electrical fire, some bad wiring, but also the fact that there were so many wooden houses to provide fuel for the flames. A big issue, but fortunately no fatalities, just some injuries. Particularly amongst the more vulnerable elderly population. So good news there. The firefighters were able to control it quickly and in time, but now we'll see how insurance is going to pay out for these people. Hopefully they found refuge for now, but we're going to need to rebuild and get these people back in their homes. All right, yeah. Bummer. Shano says, poor Chinatown. I know. I love Chinatown. But one thing you know about Chinatown, too, it's pretty freaking crowded over there. Very overcrowded. So seeing a lot of people smashed into one place and a fire breaks out and hearing that nobody was killed, that's good news to me. It's nice to hear the emergency responders are on top of things in such a professional way. Elliot says, I've noticed a huge smoke from the rooftop of Bar D2 Samayan Hotel. Yeah, pretty surprising. I agree. I've definitely seen some just from my balcony looking out. I'm like, is that a giant pillar of smoke coming out from the city? It's no stranger to Thailand, but first responders, they're no strangers to it either. So pretty quick to be on the scene. Happy to hear that. All right, now less happy news. We're heading down to Bang Na. Now, a teen brawl in Bang Na has left 2 dead and several injured. So a late-night brawl among teenagers in Bang Na led to the deaths of 2 boys aged 15 and 16 and left several injured. The fight, involving former schoolmates with ongoing animosities, erupted outside a residence in Udom Sik 26th Alley. Kitisak, 16, was found dead from a head injury inflicted by a rock, while Nopnai, 15, died from multiple stab wounds. Payu, 16, was injured but is now stable. 7 teenagers, including Payu, were arrested. The altercation stemmed from previous conflicts and damages to a motorcycle. The police are investigating further before filing charges. Oh, God. I don't know. I hate this kind of story, man. The fiery temperaments of youth, and especially when you're in these mob situations, these sort of ganged up situations where mob mentality takes over and cooler heads do not prevail, leading to the tragedy of these 2 deaths so young, 15 and 16 years old. They have to find who's accountable for this. Teen gang violence has become kind of an issue here in Thailand over the dumbest stuff. I mean, like a motorcycle was scuffed or something like that, and that leads to deaths. Like, that's just completely unacceptable. So there's a big problem with idle youths, right? 15 and 16, what are they doing not in school? What are they doing not in programs that sort of are occupying their time in healthier ways? That's the question that needs to be asked. So I'd like to see a little bit more in the form of youth outreach programs to keep these kids off of the streets and engaging in, you hear, it's not even like there's money involved, really. It's just sort of like machismo and a terrible sense of male, tendency towards violence. So gross. Shame on you kids, and hearts go out to the family, to the children who lost their lives. Elliot says condolences as well. Fight to the death, Shano. Yeah, not acceptable in anyone's book, and they paid the price ultimately. So don't get involved, boys. If you see violence breaking out, step away, and they'll tire themselves out eventually. Good God. All right, well, that's not the only time where cooler heads are not prevailing, as we head over to Chiang Mai. So a road rage incident in Chiang Mai has sparked an online debate. So this road rage incident, involving a woman using her mobile phone for navigation and an aggressive driver, has sparked an online debate. The confrontation occurred when the driver, irritated by Aim's slow driving in the right lane, tailgated, overtook, and forcibly took her keys, throwing them away. Aim, accompanied by 2 women and a child, was frightened. The incident was recorded and shared online, leading to mixed reactions. Police are investigating both Aim's potential traffic violations and the aggressor's excessive response. If Aim files a formal complaint, the male driver could face charges. Yeah. What a jerk. I don't know. A little bit of jerks on both sides, right? Like, the right lane's supposed to be the fast lane. If you are going very slow there, you are going to frustrate people. However, the hell, guy? Like, you're not a vigilante. You can, give her a dirty look, flip her the bird, do what you got to do to shame her. But, pulling her over, taking her keys, throwing them out, that's a step too far. And dude, like, you never know who's going to pull out a gun on you, pull out a weapon on you. Road rage escalates into violence all the time. So seeing these people like come out and step out, risking their lives because they are angry, is a super frustrating thing to me. I've said it before, I'll say it many times again, I have completely outsourced driving. I don't do it anymore because, when I'm behind the wheel of the car, for some reason I get irrationally angry all the time because stupid driver there, stupid driver there. So Thailand, usually sweeter people, nicer people, and this kind of story doesn't typically take place, but it does happen from time to time. So make cooler heads prevail, take care of yourselves, don't stop people who are just going very slow already, okay? Moving on, not too many good comments there, but now let's move on to our next story, which has us dealing with extortion. And, I'm going to have to change the genders on this story because apparently it's been shifted around. But in any case, a Thai man has been arrested for extorting a French citizen with explicit images. So a 40-year-old Thai man was arrested in Pattaya for allegedly extorting a French person with explicit images. The incident traces back to 2017 when the couple recorded obscene activities while in Thailand. After their breakup, the man, Chalum Wood, followed the person to Vietnam, but was expelled from their residence in 2022. Later, he threatened to release explicit content online unless they paid 900 euros. Using social media to enforce his threats, the victim reported him to Thai Technology Crime Suppression Division, leading to his arrest. Now, Charlon Wood admitted to the extortion, driven by feelings of being wronged. Oh my God. A lover scorned. Oh, this is where passions do run high. And it makes a little more sense than actually like on the road or say with this teen violence scuffle. Love makes people do crazy things. The extortion wasn't even, I guess it was a bit much. 900 euros is not a small chunk of change. But if you're being extorted, as soon as you give a little, that line is open and they can come back for more. They still have that evidence. So better to nip that in the bud and take care of that. But scary stuff. Trusting somebody with your intimate images, explicit images, is a big thing because they can be used against you, especially when there's a falling out in the relationship. So be careful who you're sending those nudes to, everybody. What? I don't know. That's the story, man. What do you want from me? All right. Anyways, on to our last story. I like to send you guys off with a happy one. Tourists have been rescued after a speedboat sunk off Surat Thani coast. So a speedboat carrying tourists on a fishing trip sank off the coast of Surat Thani after being hit by large waves. 5 people, 4 men and 1 woman, were left stranded in the sea but were rescued by nearby fishing boats and the marine police. The incident occurred at 12:20 a.m. when the boat took on water and eventually sank despite efforts to pump it out. The Maritime Police, led by Yuranan Midat, responded to a distress call and safely transported the rescued individuals back to Lam Tuat Pier in Donsak district. Good news. Like, I don't know. That's terrifying, right? You're in the middle of the night. Your boat is sinking in what could be, some shark-infested waters. And the Coast Guard and authorities were able to respond very, very quickly and save all people involved. Sometimes a story like this ends in tragedy. Not this time. So happy to see the authorities were on point. Radio in, man. As soon as something is in trouble, you got to let authorities know so they can find you and get to you as quickly as possible, especially in the dark of night. That's midnight. It's going to be even more difficult to find people because visibility is so low. So good on everybody involved for coming out with only a sunken boat and no tragic lives lost. Kudos. All right, so yeah, let's see. Mojo said, yeah, Kazna, revenge porn. What a POS. Agreed. Mojo says, if someone has something on you, just make a meeting, pay big burly guys to stay in the pack, and then take it back. Yeah, you never know. With the cloud these days, man, that evidence could be anywhere. So better to get the authorities involved. Do it the right way, I say. All right, so that'll do it for our stories from around the land of smiles. We're going to head on to our ASEAN news section of the news today. Our first story is heading over to Laos, believe it or not. Now, China's massive loans have plunged Laos into a debt crisis. That's right, China's extensive loans have plunged Laos into a severe debt crisis, raising concerns about its future. Laos's foreign obligations have nearly doubled, with over half of its $10.5 billion external debt owed to China. This debt mainly stems from infrastructure projects under China's Belt and Road Initiative. Despite China claiming to aid Laos in managing its debt, critics label this as debt trap diplomacy, alleging China uses loans to gain control over strategic assets. Laos's economic woes are exacerbated by rising global costs and a depreciating currency, with fears of economic collapse looming. You know, many critics are saying that China now owns a country. Laos's debt is it's the largest debt to GDP ratio in the world, I believe now, and that's just absolutely insane because most of that is owed to China. And that's very nearby as well. They've just built a new high-speed rail train a system that's supposed to be going through Laos all the way to Bangkok. So China is spending tons of money on its neighboring projects in this Belt and Road Initiative, and they're building up infrastructure. However, the critics will say they're using Chinese companies with Chinese labor to build these infrastructure projects. So the nation becomes indebted to China, while all of the economic benefits of the job creation and the company growth are also Chinese as well. So that is controversial, to say the least. And, you know, of course, other nations do this all the time, not in terms of investing in other countries as well, but typically those direct foreign investments are supposed to lead to job growth within the country. Some people can say this could be a new form of colonialism, economic colonialism, and yeah, it's pretty effective. So, you know, can you hate on China for using the tools available to spread its influence? Certainly, it has gained tons of it in Laos. All right. Now on to our next story, which also will involve China. Now, Japan and the Philippines have finalized a defense agreement amid maritime tensions in the South China Sea. So Japan and the Philippines are set to finalize a Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA, at a 2+2 meeting in Manila involving their foreign and defense ministers. The RAA will allow troop deployments on each other's territory and outline procedures for joint training and accidents. This meeting comes amid escalating maritime tensions between China and the Philippines, highlighted by recent collisions between their military vessels in the South China Sea. The agreement aims to deepen security cooperation and deter China's aggressive actions. While Japan's self-defense forces are constitutionally limited to defensive roles, the RAA signals increased military collaboration between Japan and the Philippines. Yeah, here we go again. China and its neighbors typically having some scuffles in the South China Sea. And, you know, nothing has escalated to any sort of violence. Collisions are involved. They bust out the water cannons on each other from time to time. But, you know, this is all steps on the way leading to escalation. So we could say the U.S. is obviously very strong allies with both the Philippines and Japan. So this kind of bilateral agreement is not too surprising. But what is the end game here? China is obviously flexing its muscles. It's always concerned by the web of alliances that America has in the Pacific region. You know, you start up in South Korea, military bases there. Japan, bases there. Philippines, bases there. Australia. It's pretty much cornered in. So you can understand China's concerns diplomatically there, but most of this is about the control of sea trade routes, really. It's not really about, it's about the rights to be able to tax those sea trade routes and collect money. So at the end of the day, it always comes back down to the cash flow, baby. So we'll see. Both countries, all of these countries kind of flexing their muscles a little bit, but all of them have very strong claims. How far back in history do you go? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this kind of story. All right, well, that'll do it for our news today, Monday, July 8th, guys. That's it from the Thaiger. You can always go to thetiger.com to catch up on more news stories throughout the day. We keep you updated with many, many articles, more than you see here on the show. Also, go to ASEAN Now. Please join the forums, join the conversation. If you want to get involved, I see many of you here in the comments. Come and join me every single day. The conversation continues over on ASEANnow.com. So please do sign up, become a member. We'd love to have you over there as well. Now, we'll be back again with you all tomorrow. But for now, let me jump into the comments and see what you guys have to say about all of that stuff.